It was impossible to get through the system. It was impossible to build. Probably impossible to get financing.
You're young, not sure what to believe in.
Well, I remember as a kid, my parents had the dry cleaners right next door, and I remember in the 50s looking over the fence and seeing weeds and a little shack. And at that time, I believe it was for sale. And my father thought it was wasted land, so he didn't buy it. 3 years after I bought the lot, in the midst of a very severe drought, you couldn't build unless you had a water connection. And the only way to get a water connection was to get in a lottery. And my God, I came in number 11 on a lottery. I've never won anything. And it was so exciting. When I went to the building department, they were excited until they realized that we were in a commercial zone. And that requires a 10-foot setback. And my lot was only 20 feet. So that, in my mind, eliminated any idea of ever building on this property. Sue and I had been 14 years living on a sailboat, 7 of those in Mexico, and when we came back in early 2000, we saw the most amazing building being built next to the cleaners. It was a residence in this commercial area, and it was just beautiful. And I went over and met the contractor and the architect, Jeff Shelton and Dan Upton, and we hit it off. And when I told them about this property, they came over, took a look at it, and immediately Jeff says, "We got to build here."
I remember piling that blanket and Neil showed up, said, "Hey, I'm Neil Ablitt." He says, "I got a lot for you, a project for you." I said, "I'm too busy, can't do it." This is actually the real story. I don't know what Neil said. And I don't have time, but no, you got to see this lot. Come over for a beer. So I went over to their back office for a beer, and I hadn't seen the lot yet, but they pulled out a little lot map, and there's 8.5 by 11, but on it was this little teeny lot. And he said, "There's the lot, 20 by 20. And I said, "I'll take the job."
Well, I love the idea of building on it, and I really admired the architect and how he does things. It seemed like it was years before I really realized it was going to happen, though. And we were putting money out for it, and it wasn't happening. It was just one test after another.
I was against it from the very beginning. It kind of seemed strange for being in a business in a commercial zone to have a residence put right up in our backyard, and I was just looking down the road at how difficult it's going to be with the construction and with the alleyway service and access for our vendors and for our bands. On paper, at the very beginning, I was completely against the whole thing.
The hotel was afraid that we'd block their view and the construction noise would cause problems. The merchants were afraid that we would be blocking the alley. And there's people that were, frankly, kind of jealous of Jeff's success. They were attacking most of his projects, and particularly this one.
This is Antonio Gaudi's work in Barcelona, Spain. That's his type of design, very curved, very organic. This is not our traditional architecture that is supposedly supposed to be kept in El Pueblo Viejo.
I look at this as a project that is in the wrong place at the wrong density.
To front onto this alley is not an ideal situation. Although the alley certainly could use some improvement, I don't think that putting a residence there is the way to do it.
I'm seeing too Herculean of an effort here.
This particular application, as it's presented, is not acceptable.
Oh, it's hard. Sometimes it doesn't feel right. You think if love was strong enough, we shouldn't have to fight. I don't know a soul who doesn't have hard times. It's how we learn, it's how we know.
Whoever invented this appeal process, God bless them. Please hear my appeal. This is the right project in the right location with the right density at the right time. When a planning commissioner says you shouldn't live in an alley, I see a vibrant living paseo at my front door. When another says it's too Herculean of a project, that's exactly what it's going to take to get built. One Herculean effort, and I'm willing to take that on.
I just wanted to mention a few precedents that were set in places that if they hadn't been set, it wouldn't be the place that they are. And one of them is the Brooklyn Bridge, and the Eiffel Tower, and the Golden Gate Bridge, the Empire State Building, and the Statue of Liberty. Please pass this.
Thank you.
And I think it's a matter of the application of suburban standards to urban living, and this needs to change. This is not production housing. This is the architecture of nooks and crannies. Or is it crooks and nannies? I never get it right.
What we see here is 10 pounds of material in an 8-pound bag, but that's the bag he had. So consequently, they developed a project that's good for people with good knees.
But this is really a different thing. It is like a mixed use, but I'm not going to go so far as to say it's a horizontal mixed use or whatever that was, but or even a Smurf building. But
I would like to make the motion that the council grant the appeal of the applicants Neil and Sue Ablitt, reversing the decision of the Planning Commission to deny the project.
Second. Okay. And there's a second by Mr. Williams. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Excellent. And can I keep this little book?
That left us with an opportunity to build on a 20 by 20 foot lot, which we never thought we'd be able to. But as we found out, the challenges were just beginning.
You can't get rid of me that easy.
Came here to start working, that was gnarly because of the half a dozen guys sleeping. We passed by them sleeping, walking in behind the dumpsters. And on the lot, there's like syringes and latex gloves, and it was weird stuff. Half cocktails, half drunk, sitting there like margaritas with a lime in it, sitting by the fence. And
it's a great neighborhood.
I'm like, man, this is nuts.
I was concerned that they would never dig that first shovel of dirt. There were a lot of obstacles, and it seemed like, permit after permit after permit, all the modifications that had to be given for it, the nervousness of the people along the alley.
The day we were going to break ground, we started with the caissons. 9 caissons were going to be drilled on this little 20 by 20. A caisson is a column 2 feet diameter, 45 feet deep. You fill with concrete and a cage of rebar. This would be the foundation for the house. We wanted to keep the alley open. We didn't want to upset anybody. And we were here at 4 o'clock in the morning, just walking around, checking things. It was the epitome of nervous, outright scared. What's going to happen?
And the neighbors were all negative at that point. So you're walking into like hostile territory. No one said hello and, anything like that. They were all grumbly.
Yeah, no one wanted us to do it. You couldn't get to the lot. People were living on the lot.
No place to park.
Nobody wanted to move their car once they got in. Basically everybody hated us, half the planning commission at that time.
I was kind of in shock that the city was going to allow it to happen. The fact that in such a small confined area, 19 foot by 19 foot square, that they're going to be able to build a house 53 feet straight up without any kind of easements or stuff like that. I guess just kind of being selfish about it just kind of made me think about how difficult it was going to be for me to continue my business.
I had the feeling it might not happen. There was that much opposition. When it did, then it just went like gangbusters. And it was fun watching them do the build physically, coming over, and when it was just boards and cement.
Yeah, and we're pushing boundaries a little bit here on the 20 by 20 lot. Yeah, it's weird. That's why we're talking about it, I suppose. So, you're not supposed to get too positive. You're not supposed to get too negative. You're supposed to just keep pushing.
I remember early on, attorney said, once you get concrete in the ground, you're a lot safer. And I'll tell you, when that first concrete went in the ground, I had tears coming in. In fact, I get emotional thinking about it now.
He's rather emotional anyway, so he does he's either very high on what's going on or he's very involved and low on what's not going on. So I maybe steady that a little bit by just not being so emotional. He was extremely excited and involved and willing to do just about anything to see the project through.
My job was to keep my mouth shut, sweep the alley, and stay out of the way. And I did a very good job at that.
It wouldn't have happened if Neil wasn't the
ambassador. Yeah, I mean, the alley ambassador. I mean, he smoothed out the problems day in and day out, not just cleaning it, but talking to the neighbors, and he's the one that won over the neighborhood.
And so I remember during the construction process, there were some days, but they would always let us know well in advance, like, hey, we're going to need to close the alley down from this hour to this hour. We're bringing this stuff in. And we're like, okay. And we worked pretty well together during the process. I remember being real apprehensive at first, but once the ball was rolling, it seemed to go, it went smoother than I expected.
It'd have been a nightmare to have lots of input because it's too small. I mean, it's constrained so many ways. By the time you get done with the constraints, you know, you got what color tile do you want. It's about all the choice there is.
And in the beginning, they asked my wife what she liked. And she said, I like books, I like tile, and I like wine. And that's all the input we had, with the exception when they were working on the kitchen. They asked her what color stove she wanted, and she said blue. People say, oh yeah, but you also wrote a lot of checks. No, I did not. My wife wrote all of the checks.
Our daughter had bought the business, and it was a good distraction for Neil to have this project ongoing, and kept him out of her hair. And it was probably, I saw it as a very good thing, because he liked being over here and seeing what the guys were doing. And
he looks out and sees water coming up State Street, and we go, what? We run out there, and the street, Haley Street's lifting up.
There's a geyser.
The pavement had lifted up a foot, full of water. The whole intersection is closed off. There's a geyser right outside where we're digging. Well,
the city was digging.
The city was digging, connecting water to here.
But we had just put the sewer in or something ourselves, and it's like, oh, that's great happening to somebody else.
When Jeff designed it, it was an impossible build. There's no structural wood. It's all poured concrete. 800,000 pounds of concrete, 4¼ miles of rebar. It goes into the ground almost as deep as it goes up. It's probably 100 feet from top to bottom, but we're 53 feet plus a ball. The architect has said it's flagpole construction. It's built so that it won't tip over. We feel very safe, very comfortable.
Neil tells me, he said he didn't like green. I must have just erased that from my memory, because I do like green. So, but Sue said she wanted a blue stove, so I had them go pick it out, and they brought me a color chip of this stove. And so I started with the whole color for the whole interior. Started with that stove, and I worked my way out with what works with the blue, and went to green and white up there, and went to whatever down there. Blue and white floor.
The architect designed every piece of tile pattern is unique to the house. He and the contractor went to Mexico to find a factory to make what is really compressed concrete tile. Each pattern is unique to the house. Each floor is a different color. But in the summer we went on a trip and we were going to be away, so I asked a friend, would you mind taking some photographs each day while we're gone? He did, and it just happened that when we left they were putting on the first tile. And the first tile was the white and green on the living room floor. And he took a picture of that and sent it to me, email, and said, who in God's name selected these colors? So I went, oops, have we done something wrong? Well, green is a predominant color, and I love it, the way he's used it. So
we had candles up and down, and every time friends came in from out of town, we would have wine on top, and all the surprises. See, we didn't know what they had planned.
And it was always a surprise. I never knew what was going to be the first floor, or where the door was going to be, or a window, or a color.
If you're a woodworker Are you gonna let somebody else make a 108-foot-long, one-piece, continuous walnut snake handrail? No, you're gonna do it.
I says, the handrail I've seen you do, curvy handrails, okay, I can do that, that's easy. How about this flat part? He came back, yeah, I can do that. I said, well, what's the problem? He said, that part that connects the two. I said, David, so you can do everything and that's the only thing you can't do is connect these rails? You know, David, come on, dude. So you want to be the guy who couldn't connect the rails? He couldn't do the woodwork, so he bought into it, and now that's what makes it. It's all connected.
One of the most difficult phases was the ground floor arch. This has 1-inch diameter. I'd never seen rebar like that. But when that tile for the arch arrived, it's set, and it's set for days, if not weeks. And I wondered why, and then I finally learned one day when I arrived in the morning and the contractor had set up a production line where they had molds and all his men were mixing mud or concrete and slapping it on the back of these strangely shaped tiles. And what they were doing was making a right angle so they could fit on the square arch. And when I asked Dan what they were doing, he said, it came to me last night. And I said, what came to you last night? He says, how we were going to do it. So I know that day by day they were solving challenges, which I learned in construction, it's all a challenge. But they didn't know for sure how they were going to do one thing one day to the next. And many of their conversations would end up, how are we going to do that? And the answer would be, I don't know.
We've got it right this time, and a house don't make a home. And it's only in your arms I feel safe, I'm not alone. And with you as my guide, always by my side, our two hearts beating as one. You can't take the world on. Baby, it's time to see you can't get rid of me that easy. Oh no.
What happened on this house that almost never happens, it's never happened with us before, is that everybody did what they're best at, including Neil. And when the owner tries to be the architect or tries to be the contractor, that's not them doing what they're best at. We had the best woodworker, the best metal worker, we had the best tile people. They just did what they did best. Jeff did the design, we did the building, Neil cleaned the alley.
When we finally did get it complete enough to move in, not totally finished, but we moved in December. And the next day was Saturday, and Jeff, the architect, wanted everybody, an extended family, anybody that worked on it, here to assemble at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was emotional. There was hugging, there was crying, they were spilling champagne all over.
What did I think when they presented me with the project? It had to be 6 inches smaller all the way around.
Honestly?
Yeah, remember that?
No. You're the bastard that made this thing 19 feet instead of 20? 19 and a half.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
19.
They are so enthusiastic. Their favorite word is yes. Let's do it. Yes, let's try it. Yes, whatever it is, yes. And you always have budget concerns, but in this case, you say, Neil, Sue, it's gonna, I don't know how much it's gonna cost, but this is what we think could be the best. Well, let's do it. So you get in there and do it. And the more open, enthusiastic they are, the harder you work, the more you give.
I get a call from Neil and Sue one day, and they say, we need some doorknobs for our bedroom. And I just happen to have these crazy little animal creatures, like I don't know what they are. And so I come down here, and I put them in while they're gone. And what's so sweet about being able to work like that is that when somebody comes home and they go, ooh, and you're thinking, do they like it? Because they never call me back. And then by the time I get back with them, they go, these are the greatest little handles we've ever had. A simple thing like a handle or something. So I'm grateful to have put anything into this. It's an amazing place.
I
express our thank you to the community, what we've done is open the doors and offer tours to groups, to individuals, whatever. We schedule them on occasion. And I know we gave up counting after 1,500 people. My job was to sweep the alley, keep my mouth shut, and stay out of the way. I did it. It was so easy. It was so easy.
Your husband is like an expert at this.
He is. And he loves it. You can tell.
It's the start of her book. She's seen a lot of tile. Here's the start of the one. Each one of these, called French drains, has its own tile. They're all different. Now what I want you to do here is we're going to go one or two at a time into the bathroom, look behind the door at the shower. That's soapstone in the shower and Moroccan lattice on the medicine and some more soapstone on the window and individual tile on the floor. And remember now, this is 19 feet by 19 feet, smaller than a 2-car garage. The challenge was how to get a queen-size bed. We moved in December. We got our bed in May. And here's that little book. Came the day after I met him with the 79 square foot.
He drew that?
Yeah. We lived on a sailboat probably 14 years ago. We were in Puerto Vallarta. And we bought a whole set of Talavera for my mother. Anyway, it was too heavy for her, so it went into storage for all these years. As we moved into the house, Sue says, I think you have dishes that will go with the kitchen. Oh. Every color in the kitchen. So I tell groups that this is proof positive that God wanted this built. By the way, I had a, excuse me here. Tile contractor come through, and he said never in his career had he seen detail. I mean, you have trim upon trim. You have a horizontal zigzag that then goes up. They call it a handshake where the colors meet. And then you've got detail like this tiny, tiny piece, which I'll show you another sample of that up on the dome. Jeff would come over with a 3x5 card and a magic marker, and he would leave the card and he'd freehand draw that pattern. And then Juan Rios and his helper would start cutting tile and handing up cutting tile, and 10 days later he'd have the green and white done. And then Jeff would come over, magic marker, 3x5 card. So it took 40 days for the green and white, plus more time on that. And Jeff calls this a cross between Islamic zigzag and Charlie Brown's two-shot. There's no reason, logical reason on earth to have two stairwells in this room. The city inspector says, wait a minute. He says, what's this all about? And Dan said, well, the building department requires it. And he said, no. He says, I can't allow you to pour this. He says, if you pour this, you will be memorializing in concrete the stupidity of the Santa Barbara Building Department. The logic is the fire department. This is a commercial zone. You build commercial buildings, and you put people in commercial buildings. And if there's a fire, and you have over 2 stories, we want 2 escape routes. And this, which on paper was a powder room, becomes a real sink, which for the toilet makes it a real bathroom. This is a bar, too. By the way, you gotta look at the hole in the wall. That's where you throw the drinks that aren't good.
Wow. This is so cool. This is unbelievable. So when are you gonna start bungee jumping?
The most recent fire was the scariest to us. We all thought it was out Tuesday, remember, and then Wednesday there's that firestorm about 3:30. We're up here, and it just exploded, and the smoke covered the Riviera. So we thought the Riviera was gone, and then the wind came this way, and you could feel the heat. That's when I thought, maybe these sprinklers aren't such a bad idea after all. Alex Peugeot was on TV in front of City Council for something, and he said, I'm here to tell you that the Ablitt House is now the 3rd most popular landmark in the city, displacing the Arlington Tower. He said, first the Mission, then the courthouse, now the Ablitt House. You heard it here first. When the bands come in the afternoon, you get to watch them all unload and practice. And really, we never hear any music. But when the band's over, they'll come out and start talking. But you get used to it. It's like living by a railroad track or something. Biggest job is biggest job is cleaning the alley. The hanging pots are attached to the wall, they'll be down here, and I think the plan is to have them go all the way down the alley. Again, my job is pretty much sweep the alley, keep my mouth shut and stay out of the way. Get it done early in the morning, and it's kind of fun. But when I think about 20 hours a week in the alley, kind of crazy, but I'm enjoying it. Maybe I am crazy.
They've actually been great neighbors. They keep the alley clean. They always, sometimes they'll say, you know, you guys had great shows, or, you know, what do you guys got planned this weekend? And they're kind of really interested in, as far as what we were doing, which was a complete surprise to us, because they could have very easily taken it the other way.
We have a key. There, we have a key. We have a key to their house right here on the keychain. Office, back office, Neil's house, Neil and Sue's house. What more do you need?
And they're still putting things in. We never know what's going to happen. They put in a new chandelier. They installed the bell in the bell tower. We still don't have our toilet paper holders.
It's not just with this house, but other houses too that this kind of team builds, that has relationships over a long period of time, and the trust is that when the house gets finished, it's like an old house that has a soul, and not like a new house that needs a lot of time to get the soul. So it's like, it comes with instant soul.
When you wake up, it's like a dream. It's such a happy house. You just wake up with a smile on your face.
We love it. We love it. We love it. We love it.